Good morning, Vital Men. It's good to be with you on your Monday. Hope your day is going well and you had a great weekend. Today we're continuing the teaching series that we're doing both on the radio station and also to the Vital Men. It's called I Am Chosen. And I love this portion because it really takes a lot of pressure off in the midst of our lives of knowing that we are chosen ones, disciples of Jesus Christ. And the disciples had the same thing happen to them. Jesus went out and chose them. This week we're going to talk about Simon Peter, and how he was chosen in the first opportunity that he and Jesus met. I love the portion of scripture. If you go to Luke chapter 5, you see where Simon is fishing. He and his other men, they've been fishing all night long. They've been out on the Sea of Galilee and getting after it. And then it says in scripture that early the next morning they had brought their boats ashore and they were actually cleaning their nets because they didn't catch a thing. And I love how Jesus always comes and meets us right in the very place of where we are in our lives, right at the heart of things. He sees to us and he knows how to speak to it. Well, Jesus, he does this thing that's pretty amazing to me. He goes and hops into Peter's boat and then tells Peter to push out. Peter doesn't push back at all. And Jesus does his sermon, and now he looks at Peter. He says, Simon, let's go out to deep water. Let down your nets. And I can only imagine how it must have been for Simon. Simon goes out, he's been fishing all night long. Here's Jesus, doesn't really know much about him, have heard about him. And he also knows that Jesus is a carpenter, not a fisherman. But yet he does it. He calls him master. He has such respect for Jesus. And they go out and make this catch. And I'm going to show you something this morning that I think is pretty amazing about the catch. He says, Master, Simon replied, we worked hard all night last night and didn't catch a thing. But if you say so, I'll let down my nets again. And this time, when they let down their nets, it says their nets were so full of fish, they began to tear. A shout for help brought their partners in on the other boat, and soon both boats were filled with fish in the verge of sinking. And you might be asking, why did Jesus meet Peter on fishing on the Sea of Galilee? Because he knew that's where Simon's heart was at. That's where he did life. That was his place of where he worked. And when I think about this, Jesus does the same thing for us. He meets us right in the middle of where we are, meets us right in our stuff, meets us right in the places of things in our life that aren't always going well. And I love this last part. It says this. It says, when Peter realized what had happened, he fell to his knees before Jesus and said, "Oh Lord, please leave me. I'm too much of a sinner to be even around you." For he was awestruck by the number of fish they had caught, as were the others that were with him. His partners with James and John, the sons of Zebedee, were also amazed. And Jesus replies back to Simon. He says, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you'll be fishing for people." Some translation says you'll be fishing for fish or for men. And as soon as they had landed, they left everything and followed Jesus. See, Jesus and Simon have this moment where Jesus chooses Simon, chooses Peter. Think about your story this morning. Think about when Jesus came and met you where you were. Jesus met me as a carpenter, as a place of where I do work. And in that place, he saw my heart. And when he chose me, he could see the very beginning of my life like he does you, in the midst of our stuff, in the midst of our sin, in the midst of our mistakes. And yet Jesus sees something greater in our lives that we can't even see sometimes in ourselves. And by doing that, he chooses us. He chooses us to be disciples today, every bit as much as he chose the disciples back then. So be encouraged, man. You are chosen. You are chosen to do the work, to spread the good news of the gospel, to make a difference in your corner of the world. I hope you have a great day.